Hello, everybody. So nice to see you all tonight. And remember, Mark likes to see your smiling faces or your sad faces, whatever you got tonight, if possible. And make sure you mute yourself. So I'm Lynn, and our mission, Helping Parents Heal, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting parents whose children have passed. Through support and resources offered, we aspire to help individuals become shining light parents, meaning a shift from a state of emotional heaviness to one of hopefulness and greater peace of mind. HPH goes a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and afterlife evidence in a non-dogmatic way. HPH affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background, and encourage open dialogue. Attendance at this meeting is voluntary. We hope that participants will learn from and share with each other. Discussions here are confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers, allowing parents to learn about many possible ways to heal. This includes presenters covering progressive topics such as afterlife evidence and connecting with children who have passed. The views expressed by our guest speakers may or may not reflect the opinions of Helping Parents Heal leaders and members, so we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everybody. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Lynn, and good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here with you because the evidence points to you're an infinite soul, a wise, special, powerful being who is one with the one. Also, there is a very good chance that the scenario with your child or children was planned for good reasons. And even if not, there are certainly meta benefits that can come from this. So that's what we want to focus on. However, we had an HPH board meeting Saturday, and the question was, how can we improve things, the conference? And we got some feedback. There's some feedback. People really enjoy the spiritual enlightenment, talking about the afterlife, signs for the kids. But they said, are we focused enough on handling grief? Are we being there for people? Because both are important, you understand. Your spiritual side, your immortal side says, okay, I'll see them again, and it's all good from the big picture of life view. But then your human side wonders how you're going to get through the next day, especially for newer parents who are newer to the journey. So I'll just say I apologize if I haven't been focused on it enough, and make sure that we are here for that as well, both sides of that. So without further ado, I wonder if anyone has a question this evening. Anything at all, your biggest challenges, your toughest questions, feel free to ask the soul doctor. Crack Cheryl up on that one. Well, yeah, I don't mean to be cocky about it, but I started working in hospitals when I was 19 years old, and was working almost every shift, night shift, around one or more people as they passed, and including we had a pediatric wing. So yeah, little kids, and I won't describe the different things that happened, but it brought me to my knees, and it forced me to look at what's really important in life. So many people, and this isn't critical, I mean, it's just, it's kind of human nature, focus on the easy things. I call it majoring in the minors of life. Did you hear what Hollywood stars just broke up? Like, that's really important, in any sense of it. So actually, big things like you all have gone through can be a blessing because they wake you up, shake you up, make you ask the important questions, as Doris is ready to ask right now. Go ahead there, Doris.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I'm asking the proper, and forgive me if I'm going off. Because I just lost my husband 6 months ago. But as far as Allie, what I'm curious about, when my loss of a child was very public, worst maritime accident in California. And so I've had all of the additional PTSD, things like that, dealing with it. I've taken grief education courses and stuff, but I'm very, very new with understanding afterlife or anything like that. Um, and it was just her birthday Saturday, as a matter of fact. What my question is, I'm trying to wrap my head around that no matter how our loved ones, their last moments, that they don't feel anything because their soul spirit leaves the body. Still wrapping my head around that, not how I
Sure.
was raised, so forgive me, but I'm 95% there. And that's a big thing when you have PTSD and all you see is on TV on every station how it happened. But
Sure.
what my question is that I will accept that that's the case, that they didn't feel because they left their body. Do they know what happened to them? I mean, just because I know we're not supposed to ever go into detail about anything, but there's a video they all knew. A phone was found with a video of they all knew, and you just can hear them saying that they're going to die. So that's traumatic enough in all of that. Do they, if they don't feel anything, if their body, it's the soul has left the body, are they aware though? And I don't know if that's a proper question. Forgive
Yeah,
me.
it's very proper, dear. And first of all, your daughter's name?
It's a granddaughter I raised, Allie.
Granddaughter. And then how long ago did she pass?
September 2nd will be 6 years.
Okay. All right. And then, as you mentioned, your husband changed worlds 6 months ago.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's tough. And that's, we're also addressing that more because, everyone here has had one or more children who have passed, but life doesn't, it's not like everything else is perfect just because, like, okay, well, they had a child pass, nothing else
My
bad's
mother,
going to
my
happen.
father,
Yeah.
everyone is
So,
gone.
so
Everyone's
that's why I call double teaming, and it does make it more difficult. So to answer your question,
please.
part of, and good for you for tackling the information, and I'll suggest some articles for you, but part of understanding the big picture of life is understanding who we really are. In other words, if we just trust what the brain and the five senses report, we think we're solid. You have hair, I don't. You're wearing glasses, I don't. But really, that's just what the brain's perceiving, and the brain detects much less than 1% of reality. So different sacred teachings have tried to describe it. You are the light of the world. Don't hide your light under a bushel. Let it shine. And so basically, we are beings of energy, consciousness, awareness, light are the four best words for it. Also, things like life force. And so I had to chuckle a little and say, are they aware when they pass on? Well, what else could they be? That's their truest nature. They are, and we are, beings of awareness. So yes, you can be certain, and if you've not already, see article number 126 that's entitled "Can the Soul Exit the Body Before Severe Suffering and Death?" and I looked at it from a number of angles, 126. And the overwhelming indication based on clinical and experiential evidence is that, yes, their consciousness leaves the body well before. There's no reason for it to sit around and experience that. We had a beautiful example, and I've shared this before, so for those of you who've already heard it, you're going to hear it again, but there's a wonderful man named Mike Edward. He started the Helping Fathers Heal group, which is so powerful for any of you dads, by the way. I meet every Wednesday evening. Lynn's husband, Jeff, is a big part of this. So you'll see on the Helping Parents Heal website, Helping Fathers Heal. But Mike passed on last October, and I heard recently from his wife, and she said it was so interesting. She said he was walking down toward his pickup truck, and he just keeled over. His head hit the concrete, and he was dead. Or his body was dead. His real self, continued on. Well, she got in touch with the medium very soon after, and this medium didn't know anything about the details. So this medium saying, yeah, I see this big guy, and he was a big guy, he's a linebacker. I see this big guy, he's just walking, and all of a sudden he just falls over. And the point is, while he's falling, he's thinking, oh my gosh, why am I falling? I didn't trip. I'm not sick, I'm nothing like that. So his consciousness is watching as from above, he's watching his own body fall. And then he's laying on the concrete, on the driveway, and he's saying, wow, what an odd perspective. I've never seen myself from this vantage point before. I'm seeing myself laying on the concrete. So, and the validation part of this was the medium picked up, she said, I see him near a truck. It's not a semi, it's a pickup truck. And so when you look at all those details in the validation, it's a very good description of what it's like when a person leaves their body, the soul, the consciousness. So that answers some of your questions. The other thing, and speak up, please, Doris, because I've lost my screen.
I didn't mean to interrupt. With my husband, I held him. Okay. It was different.
Yeah.
I told him it's okay,
Good.
at that point. So there was peace. But if I'm understanding what you're saying, and I apologize for taking time, everybody, I really am.
Stop apologizing. You're as
That's
important as everybody
that's a
here.
bad thing I do. From what you just said, the gentleman seeing his body on the truck, that was the point. The fire was coming for all 34 of them. So that awareness, I got a little confused from what you were saying at the beginning, and now you explaining about the gentleman who was aware of seeing his body on the ground.
Yeah, he didn't
It's
feel
haunting me. It's haunting me.
it's okay. It's like you say, this isn't the kind of thing you're going to see on the 6 o'clock news.
It was
The average media doesn't report this kind of thing, but
Yes.
these are the images. This is what we understand. Keep in mind, I've been studying all this now for 53 years.
That's why I'm here to ask you.
Yeah, so he didn't feel any pain.
Right.
His consciousness was floating above, watching his body fall, watching his body lay on the concrete as his body died. So that's a good example of how the consciousness leaves the body. Sometimes it'll stick around for a while to reassure loved ones, try to let them know, hey, I'm alive and well, don't worry about me, before it flies on to the next part of life. So for you, Doris, and for everyone, I always offer this. Email me. You have a lot of questions, and it's truly not a bother. This is one of the most important things I do. It's all free. Email me, mark@soulproof.com. If you have 20 questions, And for each one, I'll say, read this article, read this book, use this audio program. And I'm glad to coach you in these classes. And then the first Monday of each month, we have a experiential session, but then also by email. The other thing, I corresponded with Elizabeth Boyson and Irene Validis, or however you say her name, the president and vice president of HPH. And we want to make very clear that for those, for parents with a child who passed on, helping parents heal is the best approach by far. There's nothing that I'm aware of that can touch it. However, for people who are suffering with other kinds of changes in life that seem like losses, that's why I created the Greater Reality program. So if you go to soulproof.com and then the top tab says Greater Reality program, this is designed for people with spouses who pass, siblings, friends, pets, but also other kinds of losses, financial, health care, a loved one suffering with addiction or mental illness. So you've got HPH for the parents with the child, but then you've got Greater Reality program for all the other. So be sure to check that out since your husband passed recently. All right, we should move on, but be sure to be in touch with me. I really mean it, okay? You're very welcome. All right, who is up next? I'm just looking at my list there. Franny?
I just had something to share with Doris, and I thought it would be helpful. My daughter passed, it'll be 18 years in October, and I didn't find helping parents heal until about 18 months ago. But when my daughter passed, Doris, and I won't go into the details, it was probably a mother's nightmare, horrible, horrible situation. And she came to me several hours after, when I was learning about what happened to her. She appeared to me in a circle of white light. She told me that it only hurt for a minute and that she was so happy now. And it was her, it was validating, it was real. And I hope that can comfort you some for what happened with your granddaughter. But because it was a really, it's an awful feeling from the human point of view. But if you can grasp it for the spirit, I mean, she's really happy, and it only hurt for a minute. So I had very much peace after that.
Franny, would you type that up, please, and send to me, mark@soulproof.com, and I'll include in that article I just mentioned, because that's a good example of, okay, maybe the person did feel a little something, but for a minute, I mean, that's not very long. And thank you for sharing that with Doris. The other thing for Doris and for everyone is we have some very good indications what it's like, how it feels when you pass on, how good it feels. One statistic from Ken Ring, PhD, who worked with more near-death experiencers than anyone, said you want to get an idea how good it feels. Even if you're a child, because keep in mind, Earth is one of the toughest places in the universe. Brian Weiss says it's the toilet bowl of the universe. So, we hold on so tightly to this earthly experience, but it's really the toughest place. So when you let it go and get to fly away and return to your home, to the light, Dr. Ring said, recall your 100 best days on earth when you're the happiest, healthiest, most energetic. Now multiply that by 1,000,000.
Yeah.
And that's what these people say it feels like. When you leave the density, the ignorance, the cruelty of the earth plane, and you remember that it's all good, it's all God, it's all love and light.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is wonderful. Thank you again, Franny. And Liz, you are up, dear.
Hi. I was just, I've been listening to a lot of these parents, and I just haven't really gotten any signs. And I go out on walking meditation, and I do some meditation every day, and I really try to connect to my son. And I can't help but be a little jealous of these people that are having conversations with their loved one, and I'm not getting anything. And
Okay,
would like to do that.
sure. Sure. Thank you for sharing. So the name of your child who passed?
Vincent,
Vincent. What a great name. And how long ago?
it'll be a year August 28th.
Okay. Well, first of all, there's several reasons for that, and you're certainly not alone. You know, you hear from parents who do have signs, but there are quite a few who don't. And my understanding is this. First of all, he may be trying to reach you, but you're not receiving well, although you seem calm about it. You know, some parents will say, I've not heard from my child. I don't know why, and it's killing me. I'm so upset. Why don't I hear from him? And I have to laugh because I say, well, they probably, couldn't get a word in edgewise, first of all. Secondly, they're probably trying, but that person, that parent I just characterized, is on a wavelength with anger and guilt and shame and resentment and pain and sadness and despair. Well, the children are in a realm characterized by peace, joy, love, compassion, gratitude. So it is important to be more on that same wavelength. So kudos to you for meditating and time and nature and so on. But there's more to this, Liz. Sometimes a soul will, a departing soul won't make contact because it's known that the person on earth needs to struggle a little bit. In other words, it could be that you need to develop your spiritual muscles, to search some, to dig down deep. And if you got signs, it would make it a little too easy for you. And that may sound distorted or calloused, but that's the kind of thing that souls will pre-plan. Who knows, maybe your soul had, and I'm not saying this is the case, it's just what the kind of thing that can happen, the dynamics. Sometimes the soul needs to learn to be more independent and not be dependent on signs and help and support. So that's another thing. Whatever the case, it's certainly a reasonable intention for you to send your child and have a continuing visit. So the articles I recommend you read first are number 28, which is called Afterlife Contacts. And that will help you understand how very common these are. In my experience, almost 95% for parents. And then read article number 9, which is called How to Visit with Your, quote, departed loved one now. So articles number 28 and article number 9. And then once you've read that, download the audio program, and that's called Afterlife Contact. And all this is free. And so then you can use this Afterlife Contact session. I've led it at the conferences. I've led it with many groups. And about 75% of parents report a meaningful experience with their child the first time they do it. And then the others just need to practice a little bit to get it down. So do those things, and then let me know in about a month if that hasn't improved, and we'll go from there. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure. All right, Tammy, it looks like you're up next. You're muted, dear.
Okay, yes. I just have, I'm going on my journey. It's been 5 years. I just struggle with the whole concept of it all. But my son was pinned up against a tree in his car accident, and he was conscious. And I just wondering, did he feel that hole when he rolled and was pinned there and feeling, like scared, and then they got him out, and they took him to the hospital, and they sedated him, and they couldn't sedate him, so they put him in a induced coma. He tried to walk out of the hospital. The nurses, held him down. They put him in a induced coma, and this was during COVID, so I couldn't go with him to see him.
Right.
And to me, that's like he was trying to leave. And once they put him in that induced coma, everything started going down. His kidneys shut down. He got MRSA. He had to be on a ventilator, and then I made them switch hospitals. And after 2 weeks, and then they went to do a procedure, and they knocked out his breathing tube, and he died of a heart attack.
Yeah.
And it's just hard for me as a mother to understand how like there were so many ways that I could have saved him, and that he was trapped in that car up against the tree.
Yep. So, first of all, what's his name?
Joe.
And what a great photo. I mean, the one over your right shoulder, is he an intense young man or what?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. What was he into? What was his thing?
Oh, he was just trying to find life. He wasn't living he was doing the drugs and the alcohol, and he wasn't going down the right path.
Yeah, we see this so much. I interviewed 130 Shining Light parents. So these are parents who are group leaders and caring listeners. About 1/3 of their kids pass by suicide. And it's so common. And our understanding of it is this. Lots of kids coming in. I mean, Edgar Casey predicted this decades ago. But we have multiple indications. A lot of these kids coming in are what are called indigo children. They're more evolved souls. They're coming here for the possibility of a worldwide shift. The trouble is, this planet is so difficult. The things I mentioned, the ignorance, the prejudice, the judgment, also what we've done to our food, air, and water, and all the chemicals and heavy metals. So the brain goes awry. And so many of these kids then go to alcohol and drugs in an attempt to numb out and feel good. And then the rest of that story. So to get back to the first part of your question now, I've interviewed many patients over the years who were shot, excuse me, stabbed, hit by a car, fell off a 5-story building, etc. And I said to each one of them, what did that feel like? And every one of them said it was just like a punch. Boom. And then nothing. Now, medically, it's called physiological shock. In other words, when something that major happens, the body goes into shock. But then there's the spiritual viewpoint we mentioned, where the consciousness starts departing. I mean, there may be, obviously, there's enough energy in his body for him to keep going. Because if all of the soul or consciousness leaves, the body dies, no matter what they do. So, first of all, I'm sorry. I mean, I've been around a lot of this. And so just you explaining in a minute or two, yeah, what a nightmare. How horrible. However, whether a person passes in their sleep or something like Joe went through, that's just their ticket back home, the bottom line. That's how he left. And one reason why thing after thing kept happening, it was his time to go home. Either to push the reset button because he realized he had just gotten too big of a hole, or perhaps that was his soul's plan or part of it, because and I keep referring to this big picture here, part of what HPH is going to focus on more now. And Elizabeth, the co-founder and the president, heard this from her son Morgan soon after he passed. He said, Mom, all us kids are going to help save the world. And part of how that happens is when enough parents say, enough is enough. Why are so many kids addicted? Why are so many kids, drinking, using drugs, and imbalance, having mental symptoms? Let's get to the cause of it. They become loving activists, warriors for change, and that's what's going to help fuel this. So see article number 119. It's called Greater Reality Helping 119. And that'll help you understand part of what Joe may well be a part of. So I want to share that. And so given what you went through, I will ask you to do like our first person, Doris, I think, email me, mark@soulproof.com, because yeah, you've got to have a lot of things you're going through right now. What are your symptoms? What are your questions? What are you struggling with? And send those to me. And the last thing I would say to you and all parents is, Creator, God, the light, whatever you want to call it, totally understands. I'm getting teared up talking about it, so this is affecting one or more of you. It's okay to be angry at God. God understands, so don't feel guilty for being angry at life or God or yourself or the doctors, whoever. Anger is a lot better than hopelessness, despair, which leads to suicide. So feel angry, go through that period. But then hopefully you move up the scale where you're feeling more, joy, peace, love, and the things we're shooting for. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
I can feel that. And let's find the silver linings and share them around. What do you say?
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. God bless.
God bless.
Marianne.
Yes, so what I want to ask you is like the day that my daughter Sayuri passed, I was
Hold on 1 second there. We go through this every time. I'm half hard of hearing, and what I'm hearing is like echoing. So if you can get close to your mic, that'll help.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when my daughter Sayuri passed, I was recollecting the events, and when I got the call from her landlord, it was around 4:45 in the evening. So I was just thinking whether I had a shared death experience with her, because I believe it happened around somewhere between 3:45 and 4 o'clock, because she hung herself and then they found her there, and then the police had come. Because around 4 o'clock, I had this terrible tightening of my chest, and I had this horrible feeling that something terrible has happened to her. And I was calling her. She wasn't answering the phone, and I got into a panic attack. And then my phone was on the counter. I told my partner, I need to go and see Sayuri. Something's wrong. I just feel terrible. And the moment I reached out my hand to pick up the phone rang. It was the landlord, and he said, come immediately, the police is here. So I never thought about this shared experience, but I've been thinking about this week, and I kind of felt maybe I did have a shared death experience with her.
Right.
What do you think?
Well, yes, it could be a shared death experience. I prefer shared crossing, to focus on crossing over versus the bodily death. You know how much a parent and child are connected, an eternal connection. So you could feel what she was going through. You could feel when her life force left this planet is another thing. And another way to look at it, Marianne, is that it was an act of grace from Creator to give you some precognition, to kind of give you a sign and prepare you a little bit for that phone call. So there's several ways of looking at it, but whatever the case, how long ago did she change worlds?
3.5 years now.
Okay, Sayuri, is that how you say her name?
Yeah, Sayuri, yeah.
That's beautiful. And have you used the afterlife contact technique, or have you developed a different?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's what I also wanted to share, because I worked very, very hard for 1 year to connect with her. Because I joined Helping Parents Heal right away. And they said, I mean, if you want to connect with your child, you got to put in the work. and really work hard to first to get over your other beliefs from religion, that they're just sleeping and they will rise when Christ comes and all that stuff. I had to put all that beliefs out of my head and fully believe in the concept of afterlife and pure energy and what your teachings are and helping parents heal. So I worked very hard on that, and I worked very hard on trying different ways to connect to her. And then and right now, like my connection is very good with her, because not that I'm trying to boast or anything like that, but I have like dream visitations twice a month. It can be very, very short, maybe like even 10 seconds, but it is so powerful. She comes like a bolt of energy and just surrounds me like with her energy. Sometimes I feel like she's pulling out the sheets, and then she creeps under my arm and gives me a hug. Yesterday I had a dream visitation. It was just pure energy. It was so powerful. It just came right around me, right?
Okay, excuse me, man. We have some other people waiting, but so what I asked was, and first of all, you're describing dream afterlife contacts, which are wonderful. But have you used my afterlife visit session any where you listen to it, you're deeply
Yes,
relaxed?
that's what I want. Oh, sorry,
Okay.
I should
Yeah.
have said that first, because whenever I listen to your video, Afterlife Contact, most of the time I'm kind of guaranteed like that I get a dream visit from her in the night, because I just listen to it. I don't sit up. I just, while I'm falling asleep, I listen to the whole thing, and then a lot of the times I do get a dream visit from her. So I think it's your thing is very powerful.
Yeah, it could set that up, but you also can enjoy the dream while you're seated, while you're awake. So same articles, 928, and then use that afterlife
Yeah.
text session. And we need to go, but I will say that sometimes people who pass by suicide, not always, but sometimes, they're not in contact right away because they need to rest, rehabilitate, get counseling, get recharged. So that could explain the lack of initial visit. But let's move on, and be sure to email me if you have any additional questions, okay?
Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you.
All right, dear one. Marina, you're up next.
Thank you, Mark, for calling on me. Maybe I asked this question already in the other session, but the reason why I'm asking, I still cannot get it. Why do we need to learn everything? You keep telling that the Earth's experience is learning, it's like school. But why do we have to learn everything suffering? Any teacher, especially primary school teacher, will tell you that kids learn much better when they enjoy the process, when they like what they're doing. So this is in humans' nature. What we do with pleasure, we learn better. Then why do we have to go through suffering to learn our experiences?
Well, because the average earthling needs to be in some kind of pain before they'll ever focus on their lessons. So as you say, in an ideal world, it would all be peace and joy and rainbows and unicorns, and everyone would learn their lessons. But really on Earth, most people get distracted, they get sidetracked. So that's why suffering can wake us up. So be sure to see article number 29. And tell me again, your child passed how long ago?
In 2 days will be 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. So you're still kind of in denial. In other words, you're so much in your brain. And
Yes.
we've worked together, but you're basically still questioning why life is set up the way it is, instead of moving on toward acceptance and peace and joy. So I know you're a very strong-minded person, and maybe even a little bullheaded. Am I right here, Marina?
I was told left brainer.
Yeah.
Because
So,
I put everything through logical analysis, and
yeah.
this
Well,
doesn't fit my analysis.
yeah, well, that's part of why you're somewhat stuck because your brain's trying to figure out. But remember, we said the brain perceives much, much less than 1% of reality. So if you can turn down your brain however you can, see article number 77, centering praxis, and use these different techniques to quiet your brain because your brain is not your friend in this regard. It just keeps going through the same thing. As one mom described, she says, like a radio that record that keeps playing over and over, and
Exactly.
it's wearing tracks in your brain. And then you get stuck there. So your son's trying to come through, but you're like, why is life set up this way? You know, that's not up to us. Believe me, there are good reasons for it. So 77, 29, suffering, and then you know how to get hold of me, and we'll just keep working on this, okay?
Thank you.
My pleasure. Take care. Franzi, and I think you're the first Franzi I've ever met.
That's not surprising. Hi, so my son passed 5 years ago, and his father, my husband, suffered a traumatic brain injury about 3 years after he passed, and he was in the hospital for 40 days. ICU most of the time. He's fine. He recovered amazingly. And one of the days when he was in the hospital, he was on the mend, and it was actually on our son's birthday, and he had what appeared to be a stroke. And everybody came and rushed in and did an MRI and all that, and they weren't able to find anything. And I don't know if TIA strokes show up, but that's what it sort of appeared. And my daughter and I think that Patrick wanted to spend some time with him on his birthday. Is that something that happens?
Sure. Yeah, and this relates to what I've talked about with a couple of the parents, and most recently Marina. In other words, because of the TIA or stroke or whatever happened, his brain wasn't working very well, which allowed the rest of reality, which is most of it, to come to the fore. And he's hanging out with your son on his birthday. I love that story. Yeah, it's a beautiful example of, silver linings amidst, and when did you say he was in a coma part of that time during the 40 days?
He was intubated because he got meningitis on top of the TBI. But that was intubation. So he was in that for a little bit, but he'd come out and say that he had spent time with his dad, who has passed, and Patrick, and the other side of the hospital. So part of it is was it confusion, or is it possible that he was spending time with them?
No, it's real. And we have some evidence for that, validation evidence. And there have been many cases like this. Dr. Raymond Moody was the first to describe them. So a person has a near-death experience, okay? They're clinically dead. While they're out, they see a loved one who was healthy and well before in the afterlife. And this loved one says, hey, it's not your time yet to go back, but it is my time. I'll see you later when you pass on. It's all good, nothing to worry about. So the first patient then is resuscitated, and they say, hey, I saw my aunt or cousin or brother or whoever that person was. I just saw them the other day. They're alive and well. And yet, in my experience, they said they had died. And the facts are checked. And indeed, while the first person was nearly dead, the second person passed on. So, yeah, so it's not imagination. It's not wishful thinking. I would say that was, for everything you and your husband went through, there ought to be some good things come from it. And one is, yeah, he got to hang out with his dad and his son in the really real place, versus this little, the average humans look at life through a tiny pinhole. Well, when he was on meds and when his brain was not working quite right, he was seeing more of life, more of the nature of reality.
Thank you. That
Yeah.
helps.
My pleasure. I love that story. All right. Yeah, and I feel like, Franz, you have some other things you want to ask, but I know you do, but email me, okay? Mark@soulproof.com, because we have 3 other people waiting and about 10 minutes. So,
Thank you.
Rich and Jerry.
Hi there. Thanks so much. I will be very fast. I thank you for taking our question. So my question quickly is, we get a sign, or, I find like I ask a question, to get guidance and to, get answers. Maybe some things on my mind, or I want to find out, which direction I should go. And I feel soon thereafter, I'll get a sign in the form of, numbers or, obvious things to me. But I'm wondering just if you may be able to better guide me or me and my husband as to how we can learn to better read those answers, because certainly after asking a question, funny things happen. Like even last night, I asked a question and in my room this morning, my light switch was off and I did not turn the light switch off. So I had to turn the light switch on this morning, and I was like astounded that, wow, there's no explanation for that. How did that happen? I felt it was like an answer to the question I asked right before I went to sleep. I mean, it was just seemed pretty obvious. So, but I didn't know how to, kind of direct myself to what is this trying to tell me? That would be my question.
Sure. Yeah, great question. Thank you. Well, first of all, I have a technique called Ask Your Soul, Angels, and the Light. So it's under audio programs, which is soulproof.com/shop. And so again, we turn off the brain, and then you get to get in touch with your inner wisdom and that of your angels, guides, master teachers, and the lights. So that, first of all, would be a better way to access information than letting it pop in. And, although it sounds like you're doing a good job. The second thing I would do would be to journal. And so when you have something like the light switch, jot it down. If you have a spontaneous recollection, something while you're asleep, I keep a notepad and pen by my bed. And I'll just write. Sometimes I can't read it the next morning. Like right now, I'm back to sleep. But jot all that down, and then over time, you'll see a pattern emerge. But during the Ask Your Soul technique, you can ask the questions. I ask a number of them, but then there's a couple fill in the blanks where you can say, all right, these different signs, these different messages we're getting, what are they pointing to? What are we supposed to be learning? And then listen, I leave 2 minutes of silence after each question. So that ought to continue your progress there.
Great. Thanks so much. Perfect. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. And is it Rich? Are you part of the dad's group?
I am, yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And are you doing, I mean, she's such a brightly shining one. Of course, you're going to look less shining in comparison, but I see you smiling now. So you're doing all right?
Yes, thanks. Yeah, we
Okay.
just passed 6 years recently.
Okay.
We do share a lot of signs, and we keep a journal together. So we'll write,
Yeah.
the signs that we get, and we kind of look through them, and we're really amazed at how many there are. And so it helps us, we always say, let's write that in the book. And then the book has turned really big. And so we're very thankful for that. So that helps quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. Keep
Thank
shining.
you. Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
too. Thanks so much.
Uh-huh. Let's hear from Sue first.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. It is similar to Jerry's. My daughter, Carly, passed away 3 months ago after a long battle with cancer. And before she passed, she was very spiritual. I said, Carly, are you going to visit me. You need to come visit me. And she said, oh, Mom, I will. And I said, well, what are you going to be? Are you going to be like a hummingbird, or how am I going to know it's you? And she said, she knows I'm kind of narrow-minded. She said, you need to keep your eyes, your ears, your heart open to watch for me. Okay, so I've been seeing white butterflies everywhere, feathers in my path when I'm thinking about her. But I feel, unless I was hallucinating, I feel like she came to me and I'm like, where are you? And the answer I heard was in between.
Mm.
I don't know what that means. And then I was trying to ask for guidance, like, should I have this surgery? And she kept saying, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Which I take it as that's not important in life. That was the message I got. But this in between, I didn't.
Well, that kind of strikes me as you say she suffered with cancer for some time. Yeah,
Yes.
so that she would be another one who may need some R&R, some healing showers, some rehab before she had the energy to get back in the stream of life. So I would say that's what that means.
Before she goes on to be for another human experience, or?
Well, no, before she's more available to contact you even more. In other words,
Okay.
right now, keep in mind Earth time and spirit time are different. So even though it's been 3 months, Earth time, it could be like an hour spirit time. So she's still getting charged up. You know, that's quite a thing she went through. And
Yeah.
we do carry everything with us except this physical body, but that can take a certain amount of healing. You know, she probably left it all in the field. She did everything she could to stay here. So, yeah, that's the in-between. Now, I wanted to share a story with you. And she said, what'd she say? You need to open
It
your
doesn't.
mind?
Oh, yeah, before she passed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, one of the moms I worked with in a group early on, it's been like 12 years ago now, told this story. She said her son and her daughter, both her kids, passed. And she said one night she was going to bed and she heard her daughter's voice and said, Mom, can you see me? And this mom's name was Sandra, and she said, I can't see you, but I can hear you. And her daughter said, Mom, you need to get bigger eyes. And that is such a theme for all of us. You know, this is what I was saying. We need to get bigger eyes. We need to see more of life. And so, yeah, keep that in mind as Carly gets charged up here. I think you're going to be seeing more of that girl.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Liz, yes.
Well, just quickly, my son fell on a hike. So he went on a hike in Colorado. We live in Colorado, and he went up and fell and passed away. And I didn't get any I am very close to my son. And I didn't get any kind of intuition or any kind of feeling that something was wrong. And it just, I'm comparing myself with other people and just saying, like, I didn't get, like, I don't seem to get what other people get. Like, I didn't know anything was wrong until later that night when he didn't come home.
Yeah.
And that's just disappointing to me.
Yeah, well, first of all, that's one of the biggest lessons I had to learn, not to compare myself to other people. Yeah, so lesson learned, right? You just can't compare yourself. Keep in mind, you're speaking out, you're sharing. There are probably a lot of parents who didn't see it coming and who haven't since visited. So this is Vincent, right?
Yes.
Okay, so are you generally a pretty aware person?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, do the ask your soul technique. Okay, I just talked about it. It's described in article number 71, and then use the audio program, Ask Your Soul. And after I go through the questions I ask, then you say, why didn't I see this coming? Why didn't I feel it or know it? And see what pops up. So this isn't your brain trying to think of the answer. This is what pops in, float up. And then email me, please, because I'd be curious to know about that. Yeah, because you seem open, and I think there's, my feeling is there's a lesson in there for you. It's kind of like a Japanese koan, you know, it's kind of a riddle, something you have to solve. And then when you do it, like, oh, okay, I get it. I think it's going to be like that for you.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh, my pleasure so much. This was wonderful. I saw Cheryl text and she just said, this is so wonderful. I'm enjoying this so much. So yeah, how can you not? All this love, all this energy, all this resolve to sense your kids, to find the silver linings, benefit from them, and share them with others. So check the articles I mentioned. Remember, we're here for you. Helping Parents Heal has so much. If you're not working with a caring listener and feel that need, please do. That we have 35 of them. They're just waiting there for you. So reach out. Don't suffer in silence. Believe me, no matter what you're going through, we've seen it many times, and we have the solutions, because each one of you is like a piece of the puzzle. And when enough of those pieces are in place, you know how you can see the big picture then. Well, that's how our world's going to come together. And you never know which one of you might be the 100th monkey, the tipping point to help us reach that. So you deserve to feel happy and peaceful and joyful again. And the world needs you sharing your greatest light. So that's one reason I work so hard to help do this. So let us know. And Lynn, can you talk yet or no? All right, Lynn's husband's having a test reading in the next room, so she can't talk. But before I know we need to close, but before you go, make sure you get 3 energetic hugs from people in the group. Oh, come on, reach out there and get them. I want to see some motion here. Lisa, I'm watching you. All right, take
Thank
care.
you.
God bless. We'll see you soon. Bye now.
Thank you.